Hi, I'm Tammy. Welcome to Double N Farms. As you know, we moved recently into our new home, and instead of bringing my starter mix with me, I decided to throw it away and figured I would just start new once we got here. And I'm ready to start now to get a new batch going. And I thought I'd share it with you how I do this. This is how I normally do it, and it seems to work pretty good. I get a really strong starter that's got a lot of bubbles, and it really works good for me. I use water, which is a bottled water. I'm using distilled water today. You can use any bottled water as long as it doesn't contain chlorine. And I use about a teaspoon of caraway seeds. I'm going to soak these overnight, and tomorrow I will finish making my starter mix. So I soak them using a tea bag strainer. This one is one that came out of a bottle that I had. I've also used just a regular tea strainer. I've used the little coffee maker part that goes with our Keurig machine. That won't fit in my jar today, so I'm going to use this tea strainer. Like I said, just about a teaspoon. I'm not going to be too picky about it. Just put them in there, drop that into the water, let those soak overnight, and we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, to get this starter started, I'm going to use a plastic container and just a stir stick, kind of anything that you've got that you want to stir with. This is the water that has been soaking my caraway seeds and some flour. We're just going to pour some in there. It doesn't matter how much. I'm not going to measure anything. Maybe a scoop of flour, however much water I've got left here. If there's not enough water, I'll just add regular distilled water. If there's not enough flour, I'll just add some more flour. This video is just being made for friends of mine that have asked me repeatedly how I start my starter. I'm not really trying to show anybody how to do this or teach anybody how to do this other than just the friends and family. I mean, you're welcome to watch this, but I'm not a sourdough professional by any means. So, enjoy this. Take it as just another piece of information. There are so many people out there that know more about sourdough than I do. And let's get started. I've already started mixing the flour and a little bit of the water that's been soaking in the caraway seeds. And I'm just starting to make it a little bit like pancake batter. I've got a few little lumps in here. Little information about caraway seeds that I read this morning. It's known to help ease bloating naturally. So not only are we making a sourdough starter that can be used for bread and biscuits and different things, but by soaking your water in the caraway seeds, it may help with some bloating issues that you may be having. Now, I'm not an expert, as I'd said. My friends have asked me how I make my sourdough starter. I just don't have time to continually feed and babysit a starter batch. So I do this every time that I want to make bread or biscuits or something. It's easy, and who knows, there may be health benefits in doing it this way. My sourdough starter is usually very healthy, and I'll show you that as I go along. I'm just going to scrape the edges of this little container here a little bit so that I can see how much it's risen. I like to visually take note of how good my starter's reacting. Just getting a little bit of it off over here, and that ought to do it. Now I'm going to cover it up with a little piece of cloth. That's the little cheesecloth thing, and a rubber band, just to make sure that no dust or anything gets inside of it. Here it is. After I've scraped it, I'm going to put this rubber band around the bottom so that I can watch how much it rises. And for my friends that are watching, I do this every time. You've seen my starter sitting on my counter perhaps when you were over. And there you go. I believe I started that starter mix this morning around 7. It is now almost 7 o'clock at night, so it's been about 12 hours. Let's see how much it's risen. Huh? It's rising a little bit. Well, you can see how much it's risen. You can see the bubbles. You can tell where the rubber band is at, is where my level line was before. And if you look down inside, you can see those are bubbles. We'll come back and check on it in a couple hours. Okay, now it's 9:43 at night. Let's check on it again. Oh, good. It has doubled. This is exactly what I expected. With filming, I wasn't sure what the reaction was going to be. You just never know. I'm just going to leave it alone and we'll check on it in the morning. Well, good morning. I'm not sure if you can see how much that's doubled. The line was right here, the rubber band, and it's all the way up here now. I'm planning on making some biscuits today, probably this afternoon. So I'm going to go ahead and feed this because I'm going to need at least a cup. And I'll probably make a loaf of bread tomorrow. So just a measure of water and flour. I'll add more flour or more water depending on the consistency here. You can see it's just like pancake batter when I get done. So I don't do anything different than anybody else does with their sourdough from this point. There we go. It's kind of sticky, just kind of like pancake batter. I'm going to scrape the side and move that rubber band up. Looks like I can move it up. I'm going to move it up here to where the line is so I can see how much more it rises before I use it this evening for my biscuits. If I have time, I'll go ahead and start my bread this evening as well and let it set overnight. It'll be fine. Get it pretty close. It gives me an idea how much it rises. It's fun to watch and see what the changes are in it. Now it's 6:17 in the afternoon or evening. This is the same day. This morning I put flour and water in my starter, and would you look at how much it has doubled and grown. That is 3 times as much as what I started with this morning, and it has got so many bubbles. I'm not sure if you can see all the bubbles, but it is definitely a great starter. This is gonna make some great biscuits, and I can't wait to make a batch of bread this evening. Okay, I'm gonna make biscuits. This is my starter. I have my salt, my baking powder, my flour, and a 1/2 cup of butter. This butter needs to be kept cold because you want to make sure that it stays in small chunks. Now you can either have it frozen and shred it, or mine's refrigerated. Mine is salted, so I'm only going to use half of the amount of salt that the recipe called for
And I'm going to just cut this up into small slices, as thin as I can. Placing it in my bowl. But I'm also going to go ahead and put some of the flour in there. That way it won't stick together. It calls for 3/4 of a cup. This is a 1/4 cup scoop that I have here. So I've got 3/4 of a cup there. See? And then as I cut the butter up, I'm just going to put it in the flour so that they won't stick together. If the butter starts getting too soft and mushy, sliding around and stuff, I'll put it back in the refrigerator or in the freezer. I usually put it in the freezer, let it freeze real quick so that I can go ahead and finish the biscuits because I don't want to wait all day. Get it covered because some of them are starting to stick. If the butter's too big, when you bake it, it'll melt and make a puddle, which is just going to fry your biscuit dough. You want it to be small, almost like you'd shredded it, but not so small that you don't want it like blended in. You want little chunks so that it gives you that buttery flavor throughout your biscuit. Let's finish this off. Okay, butter's all in there. Let's get it broke up a little bit. I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Just grab my 1/2 teaspoon and just measure it with that one. And then about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Just put that in there. And then I need 1 cup of my sourdough. You'll notice my sourdough is not bubbly. I used most of it this morning and just fed it, but there's a cup of it. This is perfect for if you're trying to make a sourdough and you've got to discard it. Don't throw it away, just make some biscuits. Make some trail mix or something. There's all kinds of recipes to do things with the sourdough. Don't throw it away. You can also make pancakes with it. You could actually have pancakes made with the sourdough. We're gonna mix that together and we'll be ready to start folding it and making it into the biscuits. I've put up a lot of the stuff that was in the way. Dough's still sitting there, same as it was. Just kind of sticky, but stiff. I'm gonna lay out my rolling pad. I have my little baking pan here. I think I'll sprinkle a little flour out here. I'm going to use the scraper. I'm going to flip it over and press that down. Fold it in half. See how it's making layers? And I don't worry about how much flour I'm putting down. I don't put a whole huge amount, but anything that's left over can go in my starter when I'm done to help feed it for my next batch. I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to go ahead and cut it into 6 pieces because this does make 6 biscuits. Roughly same size, somewhere around there. Nothing perfect. All right, I'm gonna take this one, I'm gonna fold it in half. Fold that in half. And now you see the layers? You can see all the layers? Fold them in. That's gonna put you little bits of layers inside your biscuit. And you just wanna pull this around and pinch the bottom so that it doesn't come undone. And you're gonna set it in your pan like this. This will now be your biscuit on top. That'll be on the bottom. I think you got this. I've seen where people will take that, I'll show you. They take one of these, flatten it out, and then they'll cut it and stack them. It does the same thing as I'm doing. I just don't have to take that extra step cutting it. Take it like this. Get some flour on there. I'll take it and cut it like this. Taking the smallest one and putting it on the top, I guess, so that they're actually making layers. Make the bottom one the biggest so that they can pull it all around. It's, like I said, it's still doing the same thing. I just feel like mine's easier, one step less to do. We're gonna heat the oven up at 425. I'm gonna put these in there for about 15 to 20 minutes. They'll be done.